Welcome into Defeating the Curse, LP and FP show. So we're going to talk about real football, real signings, real decisions. Uh, it's been quite a crazy, what would you say, 2 weeks, right? Has it been 2 weeks since the Wentz news broke?
It's been free agency started Monday of last week, right? Or yeah, no, it's been a week.
Been a week since it officially started, but the Wentz news, it's been about 2 weeks, the unofficial. Anyways, it's
It's
been
been a
quite
wild ride.
it's been a very wild ride. The NFL is looking completely different. There's been a major exodus from the NFC into the AFC. The AFC West is bonkers right now. Put all your money on one of those four teams winning the Super Bowl right now, you don't lose. It's just been insane. And even today, we had breaking news where Matt Ryan replaces Wentz for the Colts. And then Mariota goes to the Falcons. Jameis Winston stays with the Saints. Baker Mayfield is still in this awkward situation with the Browns where they have Deshaun Watson, which I don't even think we've covered that yet. And it's just kind of awkward for everybody over there in Cleveland. It's insane what the NFL is looking like right now. I'm excited for it, and honestly, and we'll touch on this more in depth. I love the Wentz move so much more after seeing how all the cards kind of played out.
There's been crazy amounts of QB movement in the NFL. We haven't seen this probably in our lifetime. This many QBs moving, this many QBs up for resigns, etc. Let's just go down the list. I mean, we'll start with Aaron Rodgers staying in Green Bay. Is that a
Yep.
surprise to you? Or
No.
it's a surprise to me. I mean, after last year, him holding out, him not wanting to play in Green Bay, all those things, him wanting GM or all those things. I'm surprised that he stayed in Green Bay. He says it's not about money. The dude's
It's
getting
about
paid
money.
50 million a
It's
year.
about money. And he knew what he was doing, messing with the media from day one. Like if you probably went to Aaron Rodgers 2 years ago, he probably had like a note document on his iPhone saying like how to F with the media and get paid. And he probably went through it as a script and played it perfectly. I even the COVID crap that he dealt with, he probably played it perfectly, chose his words specifically. He knew what he was doing. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he'd go to like San Francisco or Tennessee. I thought he'd
Nah,
leave, but I'm also not shocked that he stayed in Green Bay.
not shocked at all. And then you
But
got
he also
Russ.
lost Devontae Adams, which is huge for him, right? This is his number one receiver, best receiver in the NFL. Losing him, do you see
Yeah.
Aaron taking the Packers back to the Super Bowl? I mean, he hasn't done it in so many years when
No,
he had
but
a
I
stacked
mean,
team. Now he's gonna have a way less of a stacked
I,
team.
I think I think Aaron's legacy is how many times can he win MVP with nothing? And if he does it again for a three-peat without Adams, I think everybody in the football world will be like, all right, he doesn't have the rings, right? But he's he's an insane QB. He's first ballot Hall of Fame. He's everything minus the ring. So he's like a Dan Marino 2.0 at this point. But he has
Yeah,
one
I
ring,
mean, if
so
that's what he
technically
wants
he's
his
fine.
legacy to be,
I mean, he has one ring, so yeah. If you're just the insanely good MVP caliber quarterback that can do it with whatever crap is on the field, that's not a bad legacy to have.
let's move on to Russell Wilson. He went to Denver, which was apparently the only team that he was willing to waive his no trade clause to, which to me was the most shocking of all the signings. I thought he was going to want to go to a big city, want to go to New York, want to go to, I don't know. I just didn't pick Denver. Didn't think Denver was going to be the
It's
spot
the
for him.
surprising part for me
Like,
is he almost did it because he had a chip on his shoulder, and he's like, let me go to the best division against all these up and coming star QBs, and let me prove to them that I can still do this. That I'm not the old man out. I can still ball, and like it's almost like he's gonna re-image or rebrand himself to be more in the Mahomes Justin Herbert conversation instead of the not quite Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers conversation. You know what I mean? I think that's his mentality.
Yeah, but I could easily see him going and striking out in the NFC and the AFC West, or what are they? Yeah, they're the.
Yeah, because I mean, we'll dig on this in a little bit, but a lot of good players went to that division, defense and offense. So it's just going to make it so much more difficult for him as a quarterback, or him just being in that division, winning out and getting to the playoffs. And then you go, all right. So then you go
but
from
Oakland got better. Kansas
Oakland
City's
got
obviously
better.
great.
Kansas City's got Juju, so yeah, they're great.
Yeah, I mean, and San Diego, they'll always be San Diego to me. Got better.
I mean, Khalil Mack and Bosa together is scary. Justin Herbert, third year in his offense,
he
scary.
went to Denver, who was not a very good team last year. They've got some weapons on offense, that's for sure, but I just don't know how much they're ready to compete this year. And
Yeah.
he's 33 years old, so he's getting up there in age. Although
He's
Tom Brady
still mobile.
defies age.
He's still mobile.
Yeah, but he's also coming off injury. Like he hasn't been an injury-prone player before, but is he? He could be on the downfall of his career. I don't know. I just think it was an interesting signing. I think he had better options.
There's a lot of moves. We gotta like hit these quick, right? So you have Mariota to the Falcons, Trubisky to the Steelers, Jacoby Brissett backing up Watson, and I guess the most expensive backup in the league, Baker Mayfield. What else do you have? Cam Newton
Baker's going to be traded.
Maybe. Jimmy G hasn't moved anywhere. That's
if they don't trade Baker, he'll get cut. I'm sure. There's no way he's going to be still in
18 million cap hit,
Cleveland.
Right? It's insane. Flacco's back with the Jets. There's a big one for you. Kyle Allen went to the Texans. There's a big one for you. Just kidding. Yeah, I mean,
Teddy is going to Miami, and they won't tell him whether he's starting or he's backing up Tua. That's huge.
That is huge. And honestly, you should probably go Teddy, have him get injured, and then Tua will come in and play great. Because every time Teddy gets injured, whoever replaces him does great. That's just kind of Teddy's fortune.
Yeah.
He's like good luck Chuck of the quarterback league.
Mitch was obviously rumored to come to Washington. He went to Pittsburgh on 2 years, $14 million.
I'm still
so
salty
significantly
about that
less than
still salty about
Wentz. I don't see the love for Trubisky. He had his chance and he wasn't that good. Sure, he's won some games. When it comes to quarterbacks, I need an arm, and Trubisky didn't have that arm for me.
If Trubisky and the Steelers get 12 wins and win the AFC North, are you surprised? Off an insanely good defense. Are you surprised?
I am surprised.
I'm not surprised.
If they get 12 wins,
I'm not surprised.
I mean,
if you have
he's still playing against Cleveland, he's still playing against Baltimore.
Yeah, but look at what they could do
Cincinnati.
with Big Ben. Look at what they could do with Big Ben, who could barely throw for all of 2020, had his sort of comeback 2021, is not mobile at all, and yet still somehow they had the 11 wins in a row until the Washington football team killed them COVID year, and then they snuck into the playoffs last year. Big Ben's great, but is it that big of a drop off from Big Ben to Trubisky? Because he wasn't really running the offense.
No, it's not a drop off, but they also had 8 wins last year. I mean, they weren't a playoff team.
They were in the playoffs.
Oh well, they had the bullshit tie that got them into the playoffs.
They made it to the playoffs. The Washington football team did not. Okay, so
we're not comparing them to Washington. I'm comparing them to Cincinnati, Baltimore, and Cleveland, which I think they're the worst out of those four.
It's true.
Barring Deshaun Watson plays.
Yeah.
Now, if Deshaun Watson's suspended for a year, sure, I can see Cleveland taking a huge step back.
But I mean, those are kind of the big ones for the quarterback market, right? So the only two left, Kirk re-signed with Minnesota. The only two left really worth discussing, Baker and Jimmy G. Me personally, I'm shocked that Jimmy hasn't moved. There's no way they make him.
That still need a quarterback.
The Panthers.
And
the Panthers.
Yeah. So.
Oh, Seattle.
Seattle has Drew Lock.
So Seattle needs a quarterback.
Oh. Yeah, it's interesting, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in the draft too, right? There's still Malik Willis, Willis, right? Yeah, Malik
Willis,
Willis
yeah.
and Kenny Pickett, who could both be starters in the NFL
They
year
could, but I
one.
mean, are
They'll
you
probably take their
if
lumps,
if
but
you're a fan base, are you pissed off that let's say you're Carolina Panthers, are you pissed off that you bring in a rookie instead of shoot your shot with Jimmy G or shoot your shot with Baker?
they also
Baker's
have Sam
not bad.
Darnold too.
Sam Darnold's trash. That the Falcons
He's
have Josh Rosen. It's all it means nothing.
Yeah, but Matt Rule is also a trash head coach, so
True.
I don't know. They
All I'm
passed
saying
on
is
Jay Gruden as offense coordinator. That's all I know.
seeing how everything played out and the Washington Commanders in position to have Wentz and still sign one of those guys as your quarterback, which I personally believe don't waste your first round pick on a quarterback. Take a sleeper in like the third or the fourth
But
because
this is a
next year's
crappy
draft is
quarterback draft, right? So
you always have to draft a quarterback. I'm just saying don't waste the first round on somebody that won't be as good as next year's first round quarterback because it's a deeper, better class next year. So go get
well, we say that
Olave
every
or
year.
somebody. No.
We say
It's
that every year.
notorious. It's
We either
notorious that
say
this
this is
year's
a
the
quarterback
worst.
draft or it's not, and it's never anywhere in between.
No, but they're saying like if any of next year's quarterbacks were available this draft, they would instantly become top QB on the board. Like that's what they're saying. We're not talking about the year and the depth at all. We're talking about if any of the 2023 draft QBs came this year, they'd be the number one prospect. So don't
But
waste
they
your
also
first
said that
round
about
pick.
Matt Barkley on the 2012 draft, and
All
look
I'm
how
saying,
he turned out.
I'm not saying don't draft a QB this year. I'm saying don't draft in the first round when next year somebody will be better. Draft in the mid rounds. You don't have to get Malik. Go get a receiver. Go get somebody so that if Wentz does have a fragile ego, you haven't fractured it. He can go on knowing he's the guy. He'll be fine if there's like a third rounder behind him, sitting behind him and Heineke. Wentz won't care about that. But if you bring in a first rounder, then you have to deal with whatever Wentz thinks about that. So I'm just saying this is not the year to draft a QB in the first round. This is a year to take your chance of finding a Russell Wilson in the third type situation. That's all I'm saying. But I mean, if you keep going further, let's go into like the running back situation, right? So you have Cordero Patterson re-signed with the Falcons. He's literally the only weapon there. James Conner back with the Cardinals. Chase Edmonds with the Dolphins. Sony
Chase
Michel.
Edmonds is a good player.
He's a great player.
Yeah, he's a good, mix it up running back. So him with the Dolphins at 2 years, 12 million, very comparable to, although a lot more money, to J.D. McKissick, who was signed for 7 million at 2 years.
Yeah, 5 million more. I would take JD over Chase Edmonds personally. Maybe it's the way that we utilize him, and now that he has like a proven loyalty, where he reneged on his Bills deal and came back to the Washington Commanders. When as a fan base, you're like, yeah, hell yeah, like welcome back, be our guy. I love it. I was really worried that we were going to go.
I mean, he was our second best option last year.
I was
outside
really
of Terry.
worried we were going to go into the year with Antonio Gibson and Patterson. That freaked me out. I was not happy with that at all. JD is the perfect safety
Change of pace
blanket.
guy. Yeah. I'd like to see him get more touches, actually.
Me too, 100%.
There's still some good running backs out there. Tariq Cohen has got some game to him.
Yeah.
David Johnson's still out there. Marlon Mack.
Darrell Williams, he's not terrible. Devontae Freeman's not terrible. I mean, all these guys probably end up on the Ravens because they go through running backs like toilet paper. Giovanni Bernard, you could get him.
The Ravens signed Patrick Ricard. Never heard of the dude.
Me
and
personally,
his contract is to be determined. So.
Matt Breida went to the Giants today. He's actually pretty good for them. He probably turns into a starter after week 3 when Barkley gets hurt.
Duke Johnson went to the Bills. That's a pretty big signing.
Eh.
He's good. He's good.
He's
Tevin Coleman to the Jets. Trenton
he's
Cannon to
always
the
Duke
Titans.
Johnson's always the guy in fantasy football where I'm like, he used to do good, and then he never sees the field.
Ty Montgomery to the Patriots.
Yeah.
That's a good utility weapon for Mr. Belichick. Let's move
Him
into
and James
to
White,
wide
yeah.
receivers. Devontae Adams, obviously the biggest one. He got traded for 5 years, $141 million. I mean, that sets the bar for receivers in contracts. Now, I don't think Terry gets close to that, but how much better is Devontae Adams than Terry McLaurin? Certainly better, but that's the scary contract that Washington's up against.
The scary is if Terry has a even more so breakout year with Wentz, give him the bag. I don't care. Ditch everyone. I do not want to lose Terry. Pay him what he wants.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about Chris Godwin with the Bucks, got 3 years, $60 million, so it's 20 per year. That's got to be the bar for Terry.
I would say Godwin is the bar, yes. Devontae Adams is just insane money. Mike Williams re-signed with the Chargers. Again, equal with Godwin, right? 3 years, 60 mil. That's the level
I'd take
that
Terry
Terry's
over
at.
Mike Williams.
Agreed. Right? And, I mean...
Allen Robinson, 3 years, $45 million, so that's a little bit more reasonable, but, I mean, Terry's better than Allen Robinson, that's for sure.
I mean, would Terry care if we slotted him in? If we offered him 3 years, 50 mil? I don't think he would mind that.
Well, we've got a serious problem in Washington, and it's that nobody wants to play in Washington. So how do you know Terry wants to be here?
I think
Terry, by all means, is a nice guy who's going to say the right things and all that. But in his heart of hearts, does he really want to be in Washington?
I think, and this is me personally,
if we Brandon Sheriff him, if we Kirk Cousins him, he's gone.
I've been talking about what I want to see all day to you. I want Ohio State triplets. I want Terry, a healthy Curtis Samuel, draft Olave, whatever, and have 3 stud Ohio State receivers together. That receiver room, I think if you give that to Terry with Wentz and his arm, I don't think he wants to leave here. Especially because if you look around, right? So other news is Amari Cooper leaves the Cowboys, right? Big news. And then you have
it's really a contract dump.
Yeah. Christian Kirk left the Cardinals, went to the Jaguars.
Super overpaid.
You kind of, if you look at AFC versus NFC receiver level with Devontae leaving, that's it. You kind of just have Godwin, Allen Robinson, obviously Cooper Kupp, but and Terry. Like those are kind of your top receivers in the NFC. Who else would be higher than Terry? Russell Gage to the Buccaneers, that happened. That's an overpay.
Seattle still has DK Metcalf.
Yeah, but who's throwing to DK Metcalf? Is he gonna have a better year than Terry? Probably not. Not if
still
it's Drew
got what's the dude from San Francisco? The guy who does everything there.
CeeDee?
No.
Yeah. No, sorry, not CeeDee Lamb Cowboys. I'm thinking
CeeDee Lamb's pretty good. I wouldn't put him over Terry, but I'm thinking of
Deebo
Samuel.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, it's another random name. I mean, okay, yeah. The NFC has receivers, but I would say Terry would be top.
Terry's up there.
Top 5 to top 10 easily. Easily top 10.
Yep.
I would give him top 5 because he's been elite without a quarterback.
Yep. Washington brings back Cam Sims. No surprise. I think his value with Washington is more than he can get anywhere else. He's a guy who's got some upside, but he's really a 5th receiver on a decent team. Probably a special teamer on.
He would be similar to like Pringle going to the Bears 1 year, $6 million. It's a little more expensive than Cam Sims, but I mean Pringle had pretty good success with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Zay
Let's
Jones
switch.
to the Jaguars, 3 years for 24. That's an overpay. Jaguars, remember that? What was that thing? The Jaguars have spent like over $1 billion in free agency in the last 10 years or something. $1 billion.
And their only playoff win was with Blake Bortles.
Yeah. And then
Yeah, that's
the
insane.
the Athletic dropped a bomb today about how Urban Meyer was like a super train wreck. Worst. People were saying like the worst like NFL team environment that they've ever seen, which is surprising coming from a Washington Football Commanders Redskins fan base to read. How
Yeah,
are you
dude,
so much worse than our franchise?
that article was wild. I had no idea that it was really that bad. I mean, they just painted Urban as this evil, horrible dude who cussed at people, threatened to fire people, just a horrible dude, and then would go out, then went out to the club and then lied to his team about that.
I'm
Um,
honestly excited to see what happens with Trevor Lawrence.
I mean, I don't think that was a nurturing environment at all. So
Not at
you got to
all.
wipe all of last season out for Trevor Lawrence and start over. Let's move on to tight ends. I know everyone in Washington was looking for Zach Ertz to come here. He re-signed with the Cardinals for 3 years. A lot of re-signings on the tight end market. Some of the big names left out there: Jared Cook, Jordan Akins, um, Eric Ebron. He's had some game in him. That's really about it. Kyle
And
Rudolph is out there, but he's up there in
Gronkowski,
age.
if he comes back since Brady's back.
Yeah, I don't. If Gronk comes back, it'll be with Tampa. I don't
I
see him coming.
really wanted us to steal Austin Hooper, but the Titans stole him. I thought he would have been a great 1 year rental for us. 1 year, $6 million would have been a great rental for us.
Ricky Seal is going back to the going to the Giants, which stings a little bit because I actually thought that dude could play
He was solid, yeah. And I mean,
if he could stay healthy.
and the problem is Logan Thomas has not proven to be able to stay healthy all year. As much as I love LT, can't stay healthy, right? So then you have
Well,
Bates.
you also need two tight ends. I mean,
Right. And Bates was good, but Bates was good because nobody was expecting him to do anything but block. So now if the expectation is that he'll be a receiving tight end, he'll see different coverage, and who knows how he responds to that.
yeah, the tight end market dried up pretty quick, so that may be a need to address in the draft.
Yeah, I mean tight ends kind of nothing really there. I mean you could try like a Kyle Rudolph 1 year rental. You could try like I don't know.
Jacob Hollister, he was
Yeah,
okay.
Jordan Atkins, something, right?
Yeah. Offensive tackle, let's skip that. I think we're set there
How you gonna
with
skip that? How you gonna skip that, man?
Charles Leno signed. We still have the dude from Texas,
I would say
Sam
the biggest
Cosmi.
one that you have to hit is the Bengals took the tackle from the Cowboys. They took Lyle Collins,
Well,
which
but
I
he's
mean,
always suspended or hurt or
no,
something.
he was
He's
hurt,
not
but I mean
reliable.
he's solid.
He also
Uh,
killed his girlfriend,
all I'm saying is the Cowboys
allegedly.
they've been shedding a lot of contracts and players. Zeke ain't really Zeke. Dak ain't that good without Amari. So all those fans out there that think that Dallas can run it back and win back to back, which never happens in the NFC East, I mean, it might be a rough year for them.
Dude, I see your boy Ty Nsekhe is a free agent. He's got to be the best swing tackle in Washington
100%.
history.
Oh yeah, and
I
he
mean,
he was he was a
he was
warrior, dude.
so solid.
And
Yeah, I'd
Morgan
bring him
Moses
back.
went to the Ravens, so he's kind of back home.
Yeah, enjoy those holding calls, Baltimore.
Yeah, that's kind of it. We'll skip the rest of kind of the line. Actually,
Well,
we'll
we
touch
need a
on the
guard.
guard. Yeah,
Yeah,
so Brandon Sheriff went to the Jaguars, right? We took Andrew Norwell from the Panthers, or
from the
he was
Panthers.
Panthers, and then he was Jacksonville, and then we took him from Jacksonville, but he was initially Panthers. But essentially, what you do,
He's a Ron guy.
He's a Ron guy, and I think contract wise, you played it perfectly, right? You got, I think, a not younger, same age.
A
Just
sheriff?
yeah, I think you broke even, saved money. I think that's what we're looking at. Same level of
Well,
talent, probably more durable,
how
saved
many
money
16-game seasons did Sheriff play, or 17 games? Probably none. I mean,
yeah,
he's always
for
injured.
his first year maybe.
Yeah, so I was completely fine with letting Sheriff walk.
I
I
think
think
level of play
they
is the
dragged that
same,
on way too
saved money.
much.
Agreed.
Yeah.
3 years,
I did not
49.5
like
is insane.
yeah,
It's
I did
insane.
not like the Flowers release. The dude can play. He wants to play in Washington. They should have figured out a way to restructure, lower the cap hit, whatever it is that they needed to do.
But he
Um,
hasn't gone in he hasn't gone in here, so there's still a chance you could bring him back,
yeah,
right?
there's always a chance. Yep, yep.
So
But I would imagine that if that was really something that was a priority, that they would have just restructured him. But maybe they're letting him test the market, and if he doesn't find
yeah,
anything, come back.
yeah.
Yep.
Um,
On the defensive line, we lost two. We lost Matt Ioannidis, who
and
apparently the
settle.
Commanders told his agent at the combine that he wouldn't be on the chopping block, but he was, and settle. So Matt Ioannidis went to Buffalo, if I'm not mistaken,
Panthers. Ionitis to Panthers.
and
Settle
settle Buffalo.
to Buffalo. Yes. And Ionitis' agent is all salty, like you said, except it's business as usual. At the time, we didn't pull the trigger on Wentz, so money wasn't a concern. So yeah, we have no plans on cutting you. And then all of a sudden you have Wentz with 29 mil that you got to pay. Oh, we need to make room. Well, Ionitis, as great as you've been, you got to go. Sorry. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's because
No,
it's
it's
the
business. The NFL is
Commanders.
a business. I
It's
mean,
because it's the Commanders, the agents like, oh, this franchise is trash. Business is normal.
well, you saw that the Buffalo GM was calling out the Commanders.
Yeah,
So that's funny that he's calling out Ron, which I'm sure he worked for Ron at some point in his career.
right. And again, it's kind of petty to do that. But yeah, there's been a lot of news with the defense, right? I think you have
Well,
uh, what's his
let
face from uh, I'm thinking edge rusher. What's his name? Von Miller to the Bills.
Randy Gregory.
Chandler Jones to the Raiders. Randy Gregory to the Broncos.
Randy
Agba to the
Gregory at
Dolphins.
5 years, 70 million is a huge overpay for a guy who's constantly suspended,
Right.
constantly not on the field.
And that's why he left the Cowboys, because of that one stipulation of like don't get penalized.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean
yeah.
it's
That's a huge overpay.
huge.
There's still a lot of edge outside linebackers, edge rushers available. JPP still out there. Alex Okafor. Yeah, there's some good edge rushers out there. Now
Yeah.
we need some depth there, so maybe we go out and get somebody a depth signing. Ryan Kerrigan's out there.
I would love to bring Kerrigan home. I would also love to go out and try to get like Clowney.
Yeah, he's still available, but there's no space for Clowney on this roster. I mean, Clowney's not going to be a guy who's going to come be the third edge rusher.
Yeah, I mean, he's always injured.
Well, that doesn't help.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's talk about linebackers, because this is obviously the absolute biggest need for the Washington Commanders coming into the season.
Bobby
Still got
Wagner.
huge names like Bobby Wagner, Dante Hightower, Anthony Barr, KJ Wright, Alec Ogletree. These are all starters, bona fide starters in the NFL who are still out there. And if you look at some of the big signings, right? Devondre Campbell signed with the Packers at $10 million a year, right? It's sad, but linebacker, the quarterback of the defense, just is super underpaid. A guy
Yeah.
who, I mean, you saw Landon Collins not want to play this because it's a position that you're constantly going against guys who are 100 pounds heavier than you, head to head. constantly getting injured, hit, and you don't get the money.
You're either a linebacker mentality or you're not. Landon Collins is not a linebacker mentality. You want to be the crazy Ray Lewis, Cushing, insane, like, let me beat your face in mentality, or you want to shy away from hits. Bobby Wagner is one of those guys where he's like, let me beat your face in and clean up this defense. And I really, I'm hoping the Flowers and all the other salary casualties that we've had result in us getting Bobby Wagner. And honestly, we keep saying it, nobody wants to come to DC, but from a defensive point of view, if you see that line in front of you, you want a good line in front of you if you're a linebacker. That has to be appetizing and appealing to Bobby Wagner. And then Jamin Davis on the side of you, Cole Holcomb on the other side of you. I mean, it's not a
This is
terrible
a bona
place to
fide
be.
defense with a Bobby Wagner. This is a
Yes.
top 5 defense. I mean, we said that last year, but
we had
this
nothing.
is truly,
We had nothing
like,
at the linebacker position this year.
on paper. This is a stout defense.
Yeah.
With a Bobby Wagner.
I mean, there
even
was
a Dante
rumors.
Hightower, even one of the lower tier guys, right?
Oh yeah, anybody is over what we put out last year.
I don't think we're in the Bobby Wagner sweepstake though. I'd be surprised, but I wouldn't count it out.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised he hasn't signed yet, but I think he's his own agent representing himself, and it's moving slower. And he probably is waiting until.
So he's going to pull a Richard Sherman.
Yeah.
And get a horrible deal, thinking that he saved a whole bunch of money.
Yes, probably. But I mean, I would love to see him. Kyle Van Noy is still out there. I wouldn't mind seeing him either.
I'd want Dante Hightower, Anthony Barr, KJ Wright, one of those names.
Yeah. It has to be addressed, and it has to be addressed not through the draft. You need a veteran presence in there ASAP.
Let's move into cornerbacks. Is this a position that you would address if you were Commanders GM?
Sorry, I'm coughing from my hookah. No, just because the market is insane for the guys that were out there, right? So J.C. Jackson, Chargers, 5 years, $82 million. That's a big number.
And we've already got 2 big number cornerbacks on the roster.
And then Stephon Gilmore still out there
off injury.
Yep.
Juice showed some promise, so
yeah, he could see a big step up. I mean, Stephon Gilmore's out there. If you can rent him for low money, you can't go for that. But I mean, Carlton Davis back with the Bucks, 3 years, 44. Casey Hayward, Falcons, 2 years for 11. Darius Williams to the Jaguars, 3 years for 30. DJ Reed to the Jets. Travarius Ward with the Niners. Like, these are big numbers. Like, we're talking 30 mil, 40 mil, big numbers. Dante Jackson back with the Panthers. I think
Kyle
there was
Fuller's
rumors.
Out there.
There's rumors we wanted Dante Jackson. I don't think that happened. Or I mean, I see it didn't happen, but.
Well, because he's from Carolina. That's why the rumors are that we wanted him.
I don't want Kyle Fuller.
Fabian Moreau is out there, man. Fabian, I thought, was actually pretty decent in Washington.
I wouldn't mind.
He'd be a back of the roster kind of guy. Torrey McTire's out there. He played pretty well actually for Washington last year.
Yeah.
For the most part, I think we're set enough. I wouldn't be upset if we didn't go out and get a cornerback free agency.
That's something that I'd be okay if you go ahead and you spend one of your higher draft picks, like a 3, 4, 5 round.
Yeah, honestly, I'd give this free agency period an A if Washington went out and got Bobby Wagner or one of these top linebackers and did nothing else. Get a linebacker,
Agreed.
Get a QB.
Yeah, agreed.
Get one guard.
Well, you got the guard, so yeah.
Yeah.
Safety, I mean, the biggest name left is Honey Badger. He probably goes to the Raiders, I think, is the rumor.
Yeah, there's a lot of rumors swirling around him. I'd be concerned about him is because he's been on like 5 teams in the past 5 years, so something going on with him. I mean, he's a baller, but
I think
why isn't he re-signed?
He plays great. I think he's due money. and I think his persona precedes him. I think people think he's more of a cancer room locker, but that hasn't been the case since he left the Cardinals. I mean, at least on the Chiefs, he's always sort of been like kind of that heartbeat of the defense. So it's not a bad move.
Yeah.
But
So,
we're sort of set on safety. That's another position I'm not too opposed if we
no,
don't make moves.
we re-signed Bobby McCain, who I was high on at the beginning of last year, and he just reaffirmed that throughout the year. And Cam Curl, obviously,
Yeah,
that
Cam Curl's
the
been
dude,
playing great.
yeah, the dude is playing at Pro Bowl level.
Mm-hmm.
So he deserves, to be named starter before the season.
Yeah, I mean, some of the numbers out there. Marcus Williams to the Ravens, 5 years, $70 million. That's a big number. Quandre Diggs re-signed with the Seahawks, 3 years, $40 million. Big number. Justin Reed signed to the Chiefs, 3 years, 31.5. Is that really better than keeping Honey Badger? Who knows? But there's some big numbers out there, and I'm good. I mean, Wentz prevented us from making any of these moves, and you almost have to be thankful for that, right? Is that weird? It's weird that our money is tied up in Wentz, that we didn't go and overpay somebody else that may have not fit the scheme.
No, because we've done that with William Jackson. We did that with Landon Collins the year before,
Right.
a few years ago. We've done those, and they don't pan out. So I'm with you. You take you take every stab that you can at a quarterback because they're one in, 100 that actually hits. And it doesn't matter if you waste 28 million this year. If he hits, you got yourself something. If he doesn't hit, you're back to the board next year.
Yeah.
So I'd spend on a quarterback every year. Draft capital, salary cap capital.
I'm telling you, I'm good with what the Commanders have done and not done so far. I was upset about Settle. I was upset about Ioannidis. I was upset about Flowers. But these are all guys.
Settle never really had a chance here in Washington.
Yeah, and I mean,
he had the potential from day one and just never played that much.
I personally would have loved to see Payne be the one to leave because he's going into a lame duck year, and you almost guaranteed that you're not going to re-sign him. Maybe he patched things up with Jonathan Allen, but do you really need two of those guys? Like, I'd be fine losing Payne, losing Ioannidis, losing Settle, throwing in a draft guy, and then having your money dedicated to Sweat and Chase and Allen up front. I'm good with that. I don't think the money has to be dedicated to tackle, right? Edge is way more important. So save whatever money you're going to save for Chase and Sweat.
Yeah, but Payne, I think, is cheaper this year than Ioannidis was because he's still on his rookie deal. Well, where Ioannidis got his extension, 2 years ago?
I guess.
So that's why Ioannidis was the
casualty.
Was the one that, the casualty. Yeah, if you look at what Washington did this year and so far, acquired Carson Wentz, released Landon Collins, re-signed Tyler Larson, re-signed Bobby McCain, released Ioannidis, released Flowers, re-signed McKissick, released Everett, re-signed Cam Sims, signed Andrew Norwell. Now I'm finally seeing the contract numbers on this. It's 2 years, $10 million, where Sheriff was getting paid $18 million for 1 year.
Yeah,
so
even pay less money.
$13 million per year. That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
If he can play anywhere near where Sheriff did, and I saw the stats on like how many games Washington has won with Sheriff out versus with Sheriff in. I think that's just correlation or not causation, correlation, whatever it is. But Norwell could be a good guard here.
I think he'll be fine.
Resigning Jonathan Tooth, Milo Eifler, and Daniel Wise. Daniel Wise is actually a good player, so happy he's back.
I think the point is you can see that Ron's trying to hit on his wins right now. Ron doesn't want to dedicate any time with rookies, right? He's looking at how can I make our draft capital and our salary cap work to get me difference makers right now across the board instead of, obviously we wanted Rodgers, we wanted Russ. That didn't work. So now it was, let's spread it out. Let's spread the love. So Wentz was, I think Wentz was the right move. All these changes are the right moves. If you bring in a Bobby Wagner, you address a linebacker, you're taking last year's team with Heineke and a bunch of scrubs that were, as of like week 15, the 6th seed in the NFC, and you've clearly made your team better. Clearly, from last year to this year, I don't think anybody can look at this team and say they are not better.
Yeah, Carson is a way better quarterback than Heineke.
Right. And it's getting to the point now where a strong draft and one free agent signing for a linebacker takes you from floating around 7 or 8 wins to, in a much easier NFC, possibly a 10 win, 12 win. Well, I mean, also you have to look at what the schedule is.
We're playing the 4th place schedule, or
right,
is it the 3rd place schedule? Either way, we're not playing a top schedule.
But things
what divisions
change.
are we playing this year?
So you're playing Watson and the Browns. That got harder, right?
If Watson's not suspended.
If Watson's not suspended, you're playing the Colts. That'll be interesting.
The outrage in the media and across social media and all those about Cleveland signing Watson is real. I mean, and we know the NFL listens to what's going on around them. I would not be surprised if Watson's suspended for 8+ games.
I mean, I would be, honestly.
He's gonna settle on all those civil cases. He's, I'm sure he just got paid. He's probably gonna pay him out and they'll settle. But I mean, look at here in Washington, right? Like, we're talking about things that happened 20 years ago with Dan Snyder, and people are outraged. With the Watson thing, this was happening like a year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I don't think these things are not going to just go away. The NFL is going to have some tough decisions to make.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at it, right? Green Bay, that's a hard team, but they lost Devontae Adams. Okay, Jacksonville Jaguars, they made huge changes. Who knows what Peterson gets out of Trevor Lawrence? Could be a hard win. Could be. Not sure right now. Vikings, I would say KOC with Kirk, probably a better team, probably a hard win, right? Or hard to win. Titans, I mean, if Derrick Henry's healthy, you're losing, right? I mean, who knows what they do? I mean, they're not keeping Julio Jones. It's up in the air, right? But then you look at your away games. The Lions were probably one of the best, worst record teams last year. The Texans, easy win, but you and I are both high on kind of Davis Mills. Colts with Matt Ryan could be a great team. Jonathan Taylor, stout defense, they could turn it around. And then you have the Texans. Or sorry, not
I'm
the
walking
Texans,
back
the Browns.
my 12 wins. Yeah, I'm walking back my 12 to 9.
I would say 9 to 10, probably 10.
It all hinges on which Carson Wentz we get. If we get 2017 Carson Wentz, who's playing with confidence, and we get Terry McLaurin and we get a healthy Curtis Samuel, sure, we can get double-digit wins.
Yeah.
I mean, the defense is supposed to be good. They were supposed to be good last year. They weren't. If we can get a good defense and a decent offense, why not? Why not get 10 wins?
I'll put it this way. I think the NFC East, based on what the Cowboys have gotten rid of and nobody else really changing, the Giants and the Eagles, I think the NFC East is much easier for us, personally, than it was last year.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Right? Cowboys easily ran away with it. Cowboys have gone backwards this year.
Cowboys have definitely gone backwards. Philly, I never thought it was a really good team last year. They ran into some luck with running the
Right.
ball,
And
but
and you saw that when they faced the Buccaneers in the playoffs, they just got embarrassed.
yeah.
So they're not quite there yet. And Jalen Hurts is not quite there yet. I mean, they have some pieces, but I would say we might have the strongest receiver core in the East now that Amari Cooper left. We might have the strongest D line in the East. We might have the strongest O line in the East now that La'el Collins and some other guys for the Cowboys are gone. We might have the strongest QB in the East because Dak is kind of flaky. So is Wentz. I think Wentz has better IQ, stronger arm.
Yeah, and I'm in for. I think Ron can get this team together, get them motivated, get them buying into. It's a new franchise where the Commanders now getting everyone to buy in under Carson and just and playing well. I mean, I can easily see that. I'm pretty optimistic about the team. I'd like to see like we talked about that inside linebacker signed and see what we do in the draft. I'm not opposed to going QB in the draft.
We
Um,
100% need to go QB. I'm just saying maybe not the first round pick.
would you be upset?
I wouldn't be upset, but I just don't think it's a
It's not
need.
necessarily a recipe for success just because Carson Wentz we know is shaky on confidence already. Bringing in a rookie
I would also
who's
say
an early pick,
because you have Heineke, I don't think it's a need for the first round right now.
but I think the recipe for success for a rookie quarterback is to sit for a year or two.
Right, but that's regardless of the round they're drafted in. I still think you get a guy. You just don't get the Lockett or the Malik or the other dude, Pickett, whatever. I don't know who I forgot the guys.
Pickett,
Once
Matt
we got Wentz, I
Corral.
forgot the guys.
Yeah.
And it's just
Yeah.
not important this year.
Yeah. Let's put a bow on the show. What have the Capitals done with the trade deadline today, 3 p.m.?
Biggest news is they got rid of Sprong. They brought in Mojo. Johansson's back. Questionable to a lot of fake fans. Makes sense to a lot of real fans. Sprong had the scoring potential, liability on defense. Johansson stronger on defense, and Seattle is taking half his contract. So it makes sense. Now that the Caps resurged in March, I think it completely shifted the decisions that were made today. But I mean, they're looking solid if they get healthier again. If Oshie comes back, if all those guys come back, I think they're poised to go fairly deep in the playoffs. I think it depends on matchups. If you get Carolina, it'll be a bloodbath, but it'll be fun to watch regardless.
Yeah, I mean, we're about to hit NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. It's about to be a good time of year once again.
Yes,
Draft,
absolutely.
lots of things to look forward to. Listen to all our content on Defeating the Curse on all platforms and follow us on Twitter at Defeat the Curse. This has been fun, FP. Thanks for joining me. We'll be back in a few days I'm sure there will be more news coming out. This has been fun. We are out.